Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel where skincare is all about progression over perfection because perfection doesn't exist. And welcome to another When Beauty Turns Ugly. Today I want to talk about something that I really wanted to talk about on my filler and Botox episode, but I felt like it's worthy of its own episode. So as always, I'll be doing my skincare routine whilst I do this video. I'm not going to really talk much about the products, but if you do want to find out what the products are, they are all listed in the description box down below. So my skin at the moment feels very textured. I exfoliated last night, so I'm not going to exfoliate in the morning. I don't usually exfoliate in the morning, but I want to rehydrate my skin is the aim of today. Whenever I fly anywhere, coming back from Korea, my skin always feels very dehydrated for the longest time, and it's the first time in a long time I could actually feel texture. So let's get on with it. I'm going to rehydrate my skin with the Super Egg Kind Atmosphere Bio Mist. I'm not sure why I haven't talked about this because I've nearly finished it, but I just love this to rehydrate my skin. So today I want to talk about Hyaluron pens. Now, this is something that was trending not a long time ago, maybe a year ago, but recently we've seen an uptick of like the amount of content coming from Hyaluron pens, whether that's people saying that they love them and they do their own Hyaluron pen filler, or disaster videos of professionals actually correcting Hyaluron pen filler that basically went wrong. And I actually didn't know these pens existed until maybe 6 months ago when I saw, actually someone tagged me in a video of someone using a Hyaluron pen. I was like, what are they doing? Like what, like that doesn't look like anything. So you may not know what a Hyaluron pen is because I didn't either. And it's basically a needleless injection of filler, so needleless filler. So you might be thinking like, how the fuck does that work? How do you get filler into your lips, anywhere on your face? It's mainly used on the lips without using a needle. Well, it's horrific, I'm going to tell you. Actually, first of all, let's talk about filler because I love filler. I get filler done in my nose. In here, I get like a little tip added onto my nose to kind of like even this out because my nose is actually a dip here. I get filler in my I get filler in my cheeks and in my chin, just to kind of like give me like a longer chin. So dermal filler is obviously a cosmetic procedure that adds volume to areas where you want more volume, like I pointed out, my cheeks and my nose. But most popularly, no. Most popular? No. Probably the most popular filler to get, however, is your lips. I feel like for years now, people have been getting lip filler. And it's not really as bad as people make it out to be. People are like, don't put toxins in your body, when really, when administered by the right person with enough training, they are harmless. But that's the thing, with enough training, with the right person. They actually contain natural substances like hyaluronic acid, calcium hydroxylapatite, I think it is, which is a component of our bones, and poly-L-lactic acid, which is a synthetic biodegradable material, which means they're able to absorb into your body and basically disappear. Not fully, not always, minus one brand basically. And they're temporary lasting, they can last from a few months up to a whole year, taking into consideration certain lifestyle choices. If you exercise and sweat more, it's probably gonna last less time. So you inject the filler and then it's lightly massaged to kind of like give it that shape. There's a little bit of swelling, but other than that, there's no real downtime. And that's the reason why like the lunchtime rhinoplasty got its name, because it's filler that goes into your nose. You can have it done in your lunch break and you go straight back to work and no one's none the wiser because you're not left with any bruising or massive swelling. It's very, very kind of like, non-intrusive really, other than a needle going in your face. Of course, there are risks and any good injector will run you through those risks before doing it. But as I said, any good injector with the right training will be very aware of those risks themselves and know where they can and can't inject. Before I dry out anymore, I'm going to be using the SK2 Facial Treatment Essence. Just a nice anti-aging product. Again, just very, very moisturizing. So the Hyaluron pen is the same thing, but without a needle. And the idea is that it's meant to be somewhat less painful. In fact, not painful at all, according to some people. They also say that it's safer because anyone can do this themselves at home. However, this isn't true. This like needleless technology, I guess you can say, was actually made for diabetic patients and is sometimes used for certain vaccinations as well. And I guess in the medical field, the idea was that it makes it a good, easy way to administer medication without having to discard of like hazardous waste like needles, risk of contamination and infections, things like that. And yeah, it was made for diabetic patients to administer their insulin at home without a needle. So that's cool, that's a good idea. However, whilst there are some FDA approved needleless injectors, they do still recommend needles overall for most vaccinations and medications. medication. So how do these work? Because as I said, I had no idea, and it sounds absolutely horrific, in my opinion. So now I know how it works, I still think it's really horrific. So the Hyaluron Pen creates this like super narrow kind of burst, almost pinpoint burst of pressure, and spurts that medication, quite literally pushing through the skin. So yes, while this may work for medication, you can't just burst filler into your skin and hope it goes where you want it to go, because it can go deeper and it can spread out wider than you want it to go. You can't get that accuracy that a lot of injectors want and that you want on your face. So 20-year-old Megan Armitage from Bentley was like me. She'd never heard of the Hyaluron Pen before. She saw this needleless lip filler being advertised on a beautician's Facebook page and was instantly kind of drawn to it after seeing that it was meant to be a painless and safer alternative to needle filler, normal filler, all at the bargain price of £85 for lip injections. So she inquires, I'm going to use a niacinamide and zinc serum. Really, when I'm breaking out, when my skin is feeling a bit lackluster, niacinamide is my go-to ingredient. Zinc is great for breakouts for me. The Naturium one has such a nice texture that works really, really well with other products without being gloopy and sticky on the skin. So she books her appointment through Facebook. Where are my patches? She books her appointment through the beautician's Facebook page. She shows up on the day and is led to the beautician's living room to have her injections done just in her living room. They had like a mini consultation, and the beautician said that she was fully qualified and proceeded to inject 1 milliliter of filler into Megan's lips in her living room. Now, she wasn't really given any aftercare, which they're meant to give you lots of like a leaflet of aftercare, or at least email it to you. She was just told to wear Vaseline every night, which I think actually a lot of people who do lip filler kind of say don't do, because it's hyaluronic acid, so they kind of want it to attract, whereas smothering your lips in Vaseline all the time to a stupid extent kind of doesn't allow the natural hyaluronic acid to be plump and stuff. So immediately after her appointment, this is what her lips looked like. Bumpy, lumpy, and starting to bruise. She said that every time she smiled, you could see these like little bumps under her lips that were hard. They were like hard bumps. So after a month with no healing, no change in lumpiness, bruisiness, Megan messaged the beautician over Facebook and basically complained. She was like, this is what my lips look like. It's been a month now. Surely my lips must have healed. And the beautician replied saying that that was actually her first time using that specific filler. So she wasn't kind of really aware of like the results. So now obviously a little bit wary, Megan's like, well, can I see some kind of certification from you? Can I see a certificate? Can I see, whatever it is that allows you to do this? And she was blocked, ignored, and then blocked by the beautician. So Megan actually remembered that the beautician mentioned that she worked at a salon doing filler in the salon, and she'd been doing it for a couple of years now. So Megan remembered the salon name, called the salon, and the salon were like, she hasn't worked here for months. And in fact, she definitely never did filler here. God. The beautician ghosted everyone, including The Sun, where I got this article from. Now, I know from the last filler Botox video I did, let's not be annoyed at Megan. It's a real shady business here in the UK. People are able to go on these courses that last an hour, and then they're able to administer filler and Botox, a Hyaluron pen. We're into beauty. We're into, that whole side of things. If you're not really, but you like the look of getting something done, do you trust someone who says they have a qualification online? Why would you second guess it? They believe they are who they are, and that's how things should be, really. But we're very much aware of this whole black market side of the Botox and filler industry. So my skin is feeling a little bit troubled, a little bit sore, a little bit dry in general. So I'm going to go in with the CosRx Hyaluronic Acid and Ceramide serum. Basically ceramides to help my skin retain moisture, give it a little push to heal while it does its own thing, and then hyaluronic acid just to add some hydration back into my skin. Have I finished it? Oh my god, I'm nearly out of this. This is a really good serum. Yeah. So are these safe to use then? These Hyaluron pens? And are they illegal, or should they be illegal? And are they safe to use? Are they approved to use? Very short answer is for medical purposes, yes. For filler, no. No. For the US. For the UK, We'll come on to that in a minute. In an interview with Kathleen Mortal, who is an injector at the Medical College of WI, and Sharon Van Wickling, who is a retired plastic and reconstructive surgeon, in Plastic Surgical Nursing Journal Online, they state that there's a few issues with the Hyaluron pen and why it's potentially very unsafe even in professionals' hands. They say when injecting approved dermal fillers, skilled and knowledgeable aesthetic injectors use safe injection practices and techniques. They are careful to inject the fillers to precise depths, like we said earlier, and in specific planes to safely achieve a desirable aesthetic outcome. When using a Hyaluron pen, it is more difficult for the practitioner to place the filler in the desired location and depth and to administer the exact amount preferred. Therefore, the amount of filler that is actually delivered, as well as the specific location and depth of its delivery, can vary from one injection to another. So for example, you're doing a Hyaluron pen on your lips, you may not be injecting the same amount on this side as you are on this side, getting wonky lips, bumpy one side, maybe not so much the other. The depth and penetration of the injection can also be influenced by tissue density, angle of the injector to the skin, and the amount of pressure applied to the skin before firing. The fact that they call the injection from a Hyaluron pen firing into the skin sounds, I would avoid it anyway. And we found a great example of that over on TikTok, so let's watch this. I'm actually going to go in with a moisturizer. This is the Augustinus Bader, the cream. I know nothing about this. I've only been using it for a week. It's so expensive and I really love it, and I hate the fact that it's so expensive and I love it, because expensive doesn't necessarily equal good. This just happens to be expensive and good. So let's watch this video. You can see the amount of control that Needles has in regards to depth, placement, and also just the amount of product being injected, which is everything that they mentioned in this journal. The pen just kind of explodes and go in at a depth. When you watch people do the Hyaluron pen, they kind of hold the lip like this and inject to kind of stop it going anywhere. The issue is it's going to go like this. It goes sideways. So it shoots down and goes out like that. It looks like there's some form of control, but there really isn't, and it's so concentrated in that area. That's why these people are getting these big lumpy bumps, these hard bumps in their lips. If you want lip filler, you don't want your lips to feel hard, you want them to feel and look naturally plump. In the article, they go on to ask, are there any potential risks and side effects associated with the Hyaluron pen? They say using the Hyaluron pen to inject dermal fillers may pose health risks. Potential side effects may include inflammatory skin reactions, hematomas, abscesses, including bacterial or fungal infections caused by contamination during the device filling, transmission of disease caused by cross-contaminations between users, and damage to the skin, eyes, or blood vessels caused by excessive injection pressure or operator error. And that's another thing we mentioned earlier, that in medical hands, you don't have needles, so there's less risk of contamination, whatever. However, these places aren't using a new pen every time they inject, like you would do a new syringe and needle. They are using the same pen, hopefully cleaning it, but that's their device. That's the device that they need to reload, then pump into the skin. And we have a few examples to look at of how bad it can go. So I'm going to apply an eye cream. I can't tell you what it is, but I love this eye cream. I've been using it for months now. It's not out yet, and I can't tell you the brand or anything, but I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to talk about it. So let's look at some of these videos.
This patient of mine came in after getting Hyaluron pen injections done to her lips. So what you can see here is that I'm feeling her lips and they feel so stiff, and I was unsure if the dissolving agent would even work. The issue with Hyaluron pen is that it delivers the hyaluronic acid by a pressurized system, so you don't know how much is going in. You also don't know where it's going in. So the issue that I have with the Hyaluron pen with this patient specifically was that I asked her, oh, why didn't the person who did it offer to dissolve it? And she said that this specific person didn't have the dissolving agent on hand, which is so dangerous because when you have a device like this, you could end up blocking a vessel and cause skin necrosis for this patient.
Everything we expect. Bruising, swelling, bumpiness, unevenness. They look shit. Let's be honest. They look like crap. There is nothing beats just the precision of a needle and a good injector. They look shit. I feel terrible for those people because the internet makes it look so easy to do. And you will see some nice examples, I'm not gonna lie. If you type in Hyaluron Pen and filler, lip filler into TikTok, you see people who are doing it themselves and they get good results. Is it safe? Not necessarily. Does it mean they're always going to have good results? No, because all it takes is that one mistake, hitting that one nerve, that one vein, whatever, to completely destroy their lips, their face, etc. So yeah, you get all the usual issues that come with having filler in your face. As we mentioned earlier, those potential risks and hazards that your injector should warn you about beforehand, that they are trained to avoid. Hitting arteries, veins, even areas of the face that if injected wrong could cause you to go blind, even kill your facial tissue. There's so many things that can go wrong that it's just not worth the risks. So is this legal? No. I saw conflicting reports because a lot of it was jumbled. The most up-to-date reports come from the FDA. The FDA say that they have approved these pens for use from licensed professionals to administer medication, but not for dermal filler. So these pens are not approved to be used as a needleless filler at all. And no fillers, brands of fillers, type of fillers have been approved to work with the Hyaluron Pen. As for the UK, there doesn't seem to be any current regulations in place. Everyone's just kind of putting warnings out there. In fact, when you Google these and the UK, you find a scary amount of courses on Hyaluron pens. We're talking our 1-day courses, our 2-day courses. The vast majority of them, you have to have some kind of medical training, but also majority of them, you don't. If you saw my video again about Botox and filler, then you know that the British Beauty Council are working with the government to work on more regulations, more laws, an actual kind of license that you must hold in order to inject filler and Botox. Putting these tougher regulations in place, because at the moment, it's a bit of a free-for-all. I mentioned that on TikTok, people are doing these themselves, and that is the real issue, I feel, the DIY aspect. Obviously, the whole thing is a big issue, but the scariest part is that people are doing this at home. It's easy to do without a needle. It's painless. Why wouldn't you give it a go? Don't give it a go. That's why you shouldn't. You can buy the pen off Amazon because the device itself isn't illegal. It's not illegal to own the device, meaning they aren't being sold alongside a filler. However, it's very easy to buy what I consider and I would call, and after speaking to professionals, what I would call black market Botox online. This unregulated filler, and it's not that it's just filler that's okay in the rest of the world and it's unregulated here, it's the fact that you don't know whether this is the real filler. For example, filler that's used in South Korea isn't approved over here. I would go to South Korea and happily have that injected in my face by the right person in the right situation. However, because it's unregulated, you don't know if you're getting what you're getting. You don't know if you're paying for what you're saying you're getting. And if you can just go online and buy a ton of this for £5.99 and not have to prove in any way that you're allowed to inject it or you're educated enough to inject it, I wouldn't be putting anything like that in my face. I'm sure it's illegal. So a lot of people are doing this, as we saw examples, buying this, doing it themselves, then having to go to actual professionals to seek medical attention and basically trying to get their lips dissolved. We've seen examples where people can't get their lips dissolved because the filler that they bought isn't the filler that they thought they were buying, and you cannot dissolve it. So they're screwed. That's it. They have to go get surgery, lip cut open, take it all out. Their lips are destroyed. My lips are quite parched, so I'm going to use this Adore Le Balm, all-in-one balm. It's all right. It's just like a Vaseline kind of thing. And then I'm going to finish off with a fragrance. This is by Rado Blanc, I believe it is, not Blanche. I think it's Blanc. This just smells like clean. It smells like clean Sunday morning. It's my daily go-to fragrance at the moment, even just walking around the house. So yeah, absolutely fucking terrifying. I feel like the Hyaluron Pen has made filler seem like it's easy to do. Anyone can do it in the comfort of their own home without any side effects, pain, when it's not. It's not at all. There's still a technique. There's still a practice that needs to be done. There's still precision that is needed and understanding of how the layers of your skin work, where muscles are, arteries, veins. And it's terrifying. Like, there are people who have been filling under their eyes with this stuff. And it's not okay. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and check out the rest of the When Beauty Turns Ugly playlist here and some general light entertainment here, and I will see you over there.